Good morning. My name's Adam Fletcher, and for this, the fourth installment of my series on re-envisioning the roles of young people throughout society, I'm going to tell a story. This is a story about Buckminster Fuller, the world-famous designer who is responsible for such innovations as the geodesic dome and a car that could seat 26 people in 1929. He was a pretty spectacular designer and did all kinds of great things. Today I'm going to tell a story about a project that he did on a college campus on the East Coast. In the 1950s, during the middle of his career, Fuller received an announcement for a sidewalk redesign project on a college campus on the East Coast. It's an old line college, one with lots of marble and oak woodwork and traditional sidewalk grids throughout its campus. You can envision them. 90-degree angles cutting around the campus, gigantic oak trees lining the sidewalks, providing shade to people who walked underneath them. Huge statues in the middle of the four-way intersections where the sidewalks met with each other. But we also know how unrealistic those 90-degree angles are. Who really walks in 90-degree angles? I mean, actually, when we look at the situation, we can see that 90-degree angles are pretty unrealistic for getting anywhere. So Fuller accepted this bid, this opportunity to go in and redesign the sidewalks on this campus. The president of the college didn't quite understand why, and Fuller asked him to just follow his process, and he'd explain it all. At the beginning of the school year, at the end of the school year in late spring, Fuller went in and ripped out all the sidewalks around campus. Pretty obvious first step. But then he did something that confused everybody. Without laying new sidewalks down, he sprinkled grass seed all over where the old sidewalks used to be. A few months passed and the grass grew in, and people just started walking wherever they wanted. There were crazy paths all around campus. Some of them made a lot of sense, just beelines between buildings. Some of them, they were different than the sidewalks, to say the least. And in the old days, the sidewalks had cut straight over the tops of hills and then kept going in their 90-degree straight arrow fashion. These new paths that people were cutting, they went around the hill because folks saw that they didn't have to go through the extra labor of going over a hill if they didn't want to. Some of the new paths went straight to the bottom of these trees, these old oak trees that line the sidewalks, well, where the sidewalks used to be, and the paths just stopped there at the trees because people were actually able to sit underneath them and enjoy the shade rather than being trampled by their peers if they tried. Other paths just meandered around, some zigzagged between buildings and caught multiple different paths along the way. Some just went right off the campus. But regardless, the paths replaced the sidewalks pretty quickly. In the fall, when the fall was arriving in late August, the president of the college called up Buckminster Fuller and asked where his new sidewalks were. Fuller said, "I need a couple more weeks, it's supposed to rain." So a couple more weeks passed, and this president calls up Fuller and says, "Fuller, where are my sidewalks?" Fuller said, "I need one more week, it's supposed to rain a whole lot." After that week, it had rained a whole lot. Fuller took the president of the college on a walk around the campus. They followed all these crazy meandering paths wherever they went, and the president was almost driven to distraction. But all the same, he followed Fuller, and when they got back to the president's office, the president said, "I don't understand, Fuller, where are my sidewalks?" And Fuller said the places where the paths are the widest and the deepest are where we're going to lay the new sidewalks. The places where the paths are widest and deepest are the places where we're going to lead the new sidewalks. That provides a wonderful lesson for re-envisioning the roles of young people throughout society. It's the preposterous thought that the people who actually use the goods and services that we provide should be the ones who help design them in the first place. Not just keeping them in mind, but as active participants in the process. I've shared that story with thousands of people around the country in different workshops focused on youth voice, youth engagement, youth involvement, and a variety of different topics. And every time I get different interpretations of the story. Sometimes youth aren't active enough in their communities, and people actually advocate against the sidewalk approach that Fuller took. Sometimes people see young people as Buckminster Fuller in this story, the silent designers behind the scenes who are actually doing the hard work and not necessarily telling adults what they think or feel. And then oftentimes folks see students at the college as being youth, and that's the role that we should have young people in. I'm going to let you re-envision the roles of young people in this scenario, and I'll look forward to talking to you more next time. Have a great day.